So I wanted to do a quick video about the rooting process after you've rooted. I do have a video, I'll leave a link in the comments section that I did before, but I just want to discuss some things. So this is your best scenario here, where you could see all these roots and a healthy bunch of roots down here, okay? And if I flip this, they go all the way to the other side, okay? And you also have top growth, and the top growth looks really good, okay? And that top growth, now that there's leaves, it does need water, okay? So this is where you have to be very careful with your bag. You got to make sure that there is enough water for these roots to uptake the water and supply this growth with it, okay? Because this can't drink on its own. It needs the roots. And if you look, this cutting is going nuts. There's even growth here. If I poked a hole in the bag here, I would get a much lower branch. Okay, I could probably even open the bag and cut that out and put it in some soil and start another tree. But I'm definitely not going to do that. So that's our best case scenario. Now here we have I don't want to say worst case scenario, but worst case scenario is no growth at all. Okay, but we have top growth, okay, and really good strong top growth. Okay, this is an I-258, but I've looked and looked in this bag and I don't see any roots unless they're there and I can't see them, or they're not coming to the edge. They're just growing up and down. Okay. And normally what happens in a situation like this is if there really was no roots, eventually that top growth would begin to dry up and shrivel and die, because the tree needs water. That top growth needs water. Okay. And if there's no roots to bring water up, it's going to go down. Okay. I have one here that I'm going to show you. Okay, this particular one here, look, it began its top growth. It put on leaves and everything. And then what happened is there was no roots. So no roots, it needed water. It couldn't get the water. It dropped its leaves. It dropped its leaves. Now, there's still some green there. So this may eventually take off once the roots are either bigger or it actually grows roots, because it's very possible that the bottom of this cutting is not rooting. It's not making roots, and that could be either because too much moisture in the soil or too little moisture in the soil. Okay, because the cutting is a good cutting, otherwise it wouldn't have put on the top growth, but it's just not giving enough roots down there. Now keep in mind that the bigger the growth is on the top, the more roots that are needed to supply it with enough water. So if there's one tiny little root down there, it's not enough for all this growth. The leaves are going to drop. Okay. So the fact that I still do have some green and it looks like new is developing here even after those drop gives me an indication that either there are some roots and they are growing, or there's well, I guess that's it, because I would say if there was moisture left in the cutting, those leaves wouldn't have fallen off, because a lot of times you'll get the top growth strictly from the moisture that's left in the cutting, and there won't be any roots down below, so it's fake. And that's why I never, whenever I'm giving a cutting away or selling a cutting or whatever, trading a cutting, I always make sure I always have top growth and roots. Otherwise, forget about it. Even the littlest root at the bottom that shows from the bag is good enough. You can kind of tell. All right. So then we look here, and this is our final example, okay? And this is this bag here. This is a Smith cutting. Look at that. It's got an amazing root going all the way up here, and you know, it looks good. Here's another root on this side. It looks good, but I don't have any top growth. Okay, so we got the roots on the bottom, but no top growth on the top. And this is definitely a much better scenario than this guy here that has the top growth but no roots on the bottom, because if you maintain not too wet of a moisture in your bags in this scenario, eventually you are going to get the top growth, even if it doesn't grow from the cutting on the top and actually spurts up from the bottom. You can see this root here, it's making its way all the way up, or maybe that's where it started. But eventually you are going to get top growth. You just have to make sure you don't have the medium too wet. Otherwise, those roots are going to begin rotting away, and then everything will die, and you basically just throw that out. So I just wanted to say that if you do get into that situation where you do get top growth and then it falls, just like what happened here, okay, what I would suggest is either put a little bit of plastic over it, just to keep a little bit of moisture in the top, because at this point what's happening is it's struggling to get moisture at the top, because those leaves fell because there wasn't roots to bring moisture up. So I put either like a cup over it, or maybe some plastic, something to preserve the moisture, so that the top of the cutting doesn't completely die, because at this point it already broke through the parafilm if you're using my method. So that is what I have to say about that. Thanks for watching. Please follow, share, and subscribe to my channel. I always leave links in the bottom to some Amazon items that I use in my day-to-day gardening. Also check out my website, rkfigs.ca. I'll leave you today with some of the cuttings that have rooted for me. And these are some of the cuttings that grow in my garden that I love so much. This is a new one that I got, I'm told, is a fabulous Greek fig that is very large, very sweet, cold hardy, and delicious. So we'll see if we get some figs to try off of that in the summer. But otherwise, some of the amazing figs that grow in my garden: Strawberry Verte, Black Madeira, I-258, Niagara Black, fantastic fig, Col de Dent Blanc. I can't stress how delicious this fig is. Strawberry Verte, also an all-time favorite. Thanks again for watching.